We are gathered together here now in one place in time, space. But we are located at many different places in consciousness. This is due to the fact that we come in to this communication with an external orientation. We're still thinking of what we did before we came, what we're going to do after we leave, what happened yesterday, what may happen tomorrow, and so forth, scattered throughout consciousness. Therefore, in order to have the experience that we are here to share with one another, let us consider the four great laws which govern the energies which give power to the nature for self-expression, which give power to the nature for taking the action to move into any place in consciousness that one aims toward, rather than finding oneself pulled off here, there, and everywhere in consciousness. The first law, very simple. Thought directs energy. It's so simple that it may seem not worthy of the consideration that is actually due here. Thought directs energy. And energy is the great power that we have for life and living. The next law is energy follows thought. Wherever your thought goes, off you go into that place in consciousness, taking your energy with you. Or if you don't go there, the thought takes the energy and you're sitting here with your energy over there with a thought somewhere. So, unaware of this law, we scatter our forces. Instead of coming together in a single pointed manner, we have these many points where our thoughts are scattered, and so our forces are scattered. And now the third law may seem a little more complex at first, but as you view it, you find it also very simple. Where there is pain, all the way from very acute pain to mild discomfort, anywhere throughout your body, there is an obstruction to the flow of life, to the flow of energy. There, life being obstructed, those parts of your systems which are depleted and voided of the life required for their support, those systems cry out in what we recognize as pain or discomfort. Therefore, the fourth law, which is simply that where we direct energy by thought, in other words, you hold that place where there's pain or discomfort. Think of it, don't ignore it, think of it, and think of the power flowing through and all about that place. Sometimes this will cause the pain to rise up into a screaming crescendo, because these obstructions have taken over to a certain degree the defense mechanism, so that instead of our systems being defended by the defense mechanism existing throughout our nature, the defense mechanism defends these obstructions. But with the tremendous power of the energy you'll be channeling here this evening, the purifying fire, you can work through those obstructions, consume them. And the pain, though it may rise, as I say, to a greater height, to maybe even a peak crescendo, will gradually subside until finally those systems which have been crying for help receive the help they require. Now these four laws resolve into a rule, a method by which we can work in a more and more effective manner as we apply the laws and this rule. The rule simply is to think, let, observe, and experience the power with which you're working, the power of the energies which you're bringing to focus wherever your thought is focused. And this is the effortless effort. We're conditioned to think that we have to grimly grind and push and hold the nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel, try again. Actually, that is the way of the mere mortal, not the way of the divine being that you are, the God child that every human being is. Every member of the human family is a member of a grand family of light. And those who are awakened, those members of the human family who are awakened, we call sensitives. And if they're greatly awakened to that which is going on within, they are high-level sensitives. But whether just awakening or highly awakened, training in the use of the four laws you've just heard and the method for application of these laws, the effortless effort way, which is the actual way, the only way, the only means by which we can reach the actuality of letting it be in the earth elements of our earth body as it is in the heaven of the divine nature. The spirit of this communication may be summed up in a verse entitled, "Listen Now." I tell you this, not to inform you, but rather to confirm the knowing already known, not yet accepted by the mind, conditioned to reject the inner wisdom sparks that fall like falling stars to blaze away their light, then go dark in uncomprehending, airy resistance. So in this spirit, we now move together into one place in consciousness, the forebrain. The forebrain is the seat of human consciousness. And by focusing your thought, having thought focus you here, and now with effortless effort, think of the radiant, immortal one that you are as a God child, within, throughout, and all about these personality systems. Think of the power and radiance working throughout your forebrain, the seat of human consciousness, lifting human awareness, gathering, lifting, and enlightening human awareness, so that the experience that we shall have together here shall be an enlightened experience, an experience with enlightened awareness. Awareness has three aspects: enlightened knowing, enlightened feeling or emotional response, and enlightened perception or sensory response. So as more and more human awareness is lifted up and enlightened, you experience more and more in an enlightened manner of the being of light that you are, working the power of an immortal throughout your forebrain. Beautiful, isn't it? So effortless. No grim determination, no brow-furrowing concentration, but with the effortless effort of thought. And then letting happen that which happens. Observing this, and then moving into the experience. More and more, with greater and greater enlightened awareness. Good, and now, with a great flow of this enlightened awareness, we focus on a point 6 inches above the center of the top of the head. This is often referred to in esoteric writings, sacred writings of every kind, as the upper room. A secret place within, into which one can move. And as this place becomes lighted, as the light here consumes all the veils that surround the point of light within this upper room, swiftly takes form, becoming a brightening star, the star that guided wise men throughout the ages, who didn't have to look up to some external star, but who were guided by the radiant light, the purifying fire of the star in the secret place within the upper room, where all wise men learn to go. And as we learn to go here more and more, we become wiser and wiser. men and women. Good. Now then, think of your star, still effortless, and don't try to visualize the star. To visualize it is to make an image of it. Just experience the fact of the star. If you do perceive it, fine. If you don't let this make you feel that you're missing anything. Just think of your star. Think of it opening and downpouring. Now the purifying fire is an energy which is the synthesis of all energies. And the synthesis of all light appears as white. So we don't concern ourselves too much with the fact of the color, the appearance. We are primarily concerned with the meanings within the appearance, which is, here is the synthesis of all color, and therefore the purifying white light works at all frequency levels throughout the nature for the first purifying work required by the nature in order for every personality system within and throughout your organization, within and throughout your personality, to become more and more awakened, more and more sensitive to the one you are within, throughout, and all about your personality system. So let this flow. Think, let, observe, experience the flow. Experiencing is more important than observing. If you feel that you need to observe in order to experience, perish the thought. That is, if you hold observation as being merely optical. We observe by 49 different senses. And by way of the senses, we experience the sensory as this flow moves throughout, flowing down and on out the feet, and let the feet, think of the feet as being open and just that river of white, radiant, liquid-like energy substance flowing down throughout and about and into the field, around and throughout your physical form. Good. Having experienced it throughout with, and keep up the process of enlightening awareness. We want this experience to grow as more and more awareness is enlightened. Enlightenment is what every human being is searching for. No matter how we search or where we search, we're searching for enlightenment. Many think this is gathering information and knowledge without enlightened awareness as to how to use that knowledge. It can be very misleading. But you're using it now in the most practical of all ways, that of purifying your instrumentation, purifying your creation, purifying your personality systems. Good. Now let's concentrate the power of this downpour as it moves on down throughout. Let's concentrate the power in the head and face. The skin, nerves, and all the soft tissue in the head and face, and the hair on the head. Now in the bones of the face and head. Good, and now in the brain. With the strongest focus being in the forebrain, but letting the power of the downpour be focused throughout your brain. Good, and now down through the neck, shoulders, on out into the arms and hands, raise your hands and have them face each other. And bring them slowly toward almost palm to palm, and then out and back slowly and out. Experience the flow and the power you gather within and all about, as well as between the palms of your hands. Good. And now focus the downpour in your chest, the lungs and ribs of the upper chest, and the vertebra. Good, and now the heart and liver. And the ribs of the lower chest. From middle to lower. And the rest of the dorsal vertebra. Good. Now then, throughout the upper abdomen, all throughout, and the lumbar spine. Good. And now the lower abdomen, pelvic bowl, the sacral spine, clear down to the base of the spine. The hips. Good, and now down the legs to the knees, the hips and thighs to the knees. Good, and now lower legs, ankles, feet. Feel the opening as in the feet, opened as it were, to let the flow move through, carrying whatever obstructions may exist throughout the legs. Good. Now let the feet close. Think of them as closing so that the energy, the downflow, the downpouring energy, instead of flowing through backfills, fills up the legs, pelvic bowl, hips, the upper abdomen, sacral and lumbar spine, on up throughout the chest and the dorsal or thoracic spine, the ribs that attach in back to the spine and to the sternum in front. The neck and face and head, shoulders, arms, and hands. Good. Now experience your whole body filled, overflowing with radiant, white, liquid-like energy substance flowing out into your field. Now then, with the effortless effort of thought, think, let, and experience your star rising up from the point 6 inches above the head to a point about 3 feet above the head, expanding as it rises to about 3 feet from tip to tip. Experience the upward pulling action of your star as it rises, growing from a little star about 3 inches in diameter to one 3 feet tip to tip. Experience this radiance for just a moment. Now bring your radiant star arcing down in front of the body, on down below the feet, and think it, which sends it to about 12 feet below your feet. Now then, spin the star counterclockwise. We suggest the counterclockwise direction because this speeds up elimination. And here in the bottom of your field, the lower reaches of your field, heavy elements tend to collect, which cause the whole body to feel weighed down, brings exhaustion when one has done nothing but sit. So we want to eliminate these heavy elements that collect here in the base of your field. So we spin the star counterclockwise. Just look down and as though a clock were below you, and spin the star in the direction that the hands of the clock would go if they went backwards. That's counterclockwise. Only don't think of the clock now. Think of your star spinning counterclockwise. Now then bring the counterclockwise spinning star slowly up slowly until your feet are resting on it. Experience the response of your feet to this counterclockwise spinning star of yours. Good. Now then bring the star, still spinning counterclockwise, on up until you're seated on it, so that it's spinning through your feet and lower legs and up into your thighs and hips. Bring it slowly on up until it's spinning throughout your lower abdomen, throughout the pelvic bowl. So much settles in the legs and pelvic bowl that constant difficulty is experienced here in the veins and arteries and the circulatory systems and the organs of the lower abdomen and throughout the abdomen. So we need to give these an internal bath, cleansing, purifying with this purifying light fire of your star. Good. Now then, bring the star spinning counterclockwise on up until your entire torso and head are within the spinning star. Focus the power, the cleansing power in any organ or area where you may feel the need for an internal bath. Good. Now bring the spinning star on up until it's resting on top of the head. Good. And now on up until it's 3 feet above the head. And you don't need to worry, let the brain mind worry. As an immortal, you know exactly where the star can be positioned to accomplish the results of which you're thinking. You're just co-piloting as a brain, as a mortal, the radiant one that you are is actually doing the work. That's why it's so effortless. Now then, experience from 3 feet above the head a swirling downpour, a downpour spinning like a tornado counterclockwise throughout your body. Good. Now then, bring the star to a halt. Just think it still, and it is still. Wouldn't it be nice if the brain would do this? Now then, bring the star down in front, arcing down in front of the body to the same position 12 feet below. Now then, your field has a central vertical axis from top clear down to the bottom along that 30-foot diameter, the vertical diameter. So the star naturally centers on this central vertical axis. Now think your star spinning clockwise. And just as the counterclockwise spinning was to quicken and speed up elimination, now the clockwise motion of your star aids and speeds up assimilation of light, so that your personality systems, the earth elements, become lighted more quickly. So with the star spinning clockwise, you bring it slowly up, centered on your central vertical axis, until your feet are resting on the spinning star. Good. Now, on up, spinning through the feet, ankles, legs, and thighs, so that you're seated down into it as it spins through the thighs and hips and pelvic bowl, the lower abdomen areas. Good. Now bring it on up until, reaching from the base of the spine over the top of the head, it spins throughout the torso, neck, and head, hands and arms, of course. Good. Now bring the star on up until it rests on top of the head. Good. Now then, on up, 3 feet above the head, spinning clockwise, and a great downpour, a clockwise spinning downpour, passing throughout your entire body. Experience this. If there's one word I would repeat over and over again, it would be experience and know. Know by way of your experience, so that you come to know and know that you know as a result of your experience. Good. Now, contract the star back down to its original size, about 3 inches in diameter, returning to the point 6 inches above your head. Back to your upper room. And now you have a lighted upper room into which you can go, a place in time, space, where you can move into your own light and become purified for the light fire of your own light. And by purification we speak of purity of thought. The purity of thought that enables us to think a single thought, unmixed, unadulterated by any other thought. To feel a single emotion, unmixed with any other emotion, unadulterated. Love unadulterated by hate or fear or rage. Joy unadulterated by grief or shame or blame or condemnation. Sensory purification so that we can perceive along perspectives that give us viewpoints unfixed by bias or prejudice, which enables us to view fact and experience fact, thereby knowing fact, experiencing the feeling awareness of joy that fact brings. It isn't the truth that ever hurts anyone. It's the misunderstanding of truth that can hurt anyone. So we have nothing to fear in truth. We have nothing to fear in goodness. We have nothing to fear in beauty. We have nothing to rage after or rage about. And the purification that goes on as we use the radiant white energy, the light fire of purification, brings us finally to a point where we can be single-pointed. A single thought unadulterated, a single emotion unadulterated, a single perception, perceiving, feeling, thinking in a single-pointed, lighted manner. So you cannot enlighten human awareness too often. You cannot utilize the light fire, this purifying light fire of your star too often. But you can do it too little. Now you have a technique, a method, a proven method for enlightening, gathering and enlightening your human awareness and utilizing the purifying fire of your own source from sources within you. This technique, this method, this lighted way can be utilized in every human relationship you can possibly ever experience. There's hardly a moment in human interrelationship when a good purification fire would not be of benefit. In business, professional, social, sports, home life, life, in travel, wherever you are, wherever you go, you can move in to the secret place of your upper room. And as you move here more and more, just even for a moment, the rewards become richer and richer. Every member of the human family sooner or later experiences the truth of this following verse. The widening boundaries of evolutionary process are guidelines holding firm God-child progress from point of light to brightening star to radiant sun of manifestation.